Good day, class, and welcome to our topic on Islam. This is a U12 class, and the video is made to ensure that everyone, whether in school or at home, know what we're doing in school. So, let's proceed. Islam is, shall we say, part or came from Abraham. Sir, how is it possible that it came from Abraham? Well, from Abraham came he had two sons, Ishmael and Isaac. All right, from Ishmael, okay, you will see here later that he has this descendant named Muhammad. From Isaac, it leads to what we call now Judaism, and then later on, if you trace it down, it will go down to Jesus, and from Jesus we have Christianity. All right. So it's something like this. Abraham had a son named Ishmael, and it goes down to the Prophet Muhammad. But who is this Prophet Muhammad? Prophet Muhammad was born in 571 AD in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. He is considered to be a prophet, and he is the last prophet according to the Muslim religion or the Islam religion. The holy book that they follow, if you would compare it with Catholicism, we have the Bible. Okay, the holy book that they follow would be the Quran, and it was written by the Prophet Muhammad himself. Now, let's have some overview of the land. So here we have Egypt here on the side, Arabia, Saudi Arabia would be here, and here is Mecca. Just on top we have Iraq, Iran, and we have here Israel. Okay, and you could probably trace from Israel. Ishmael and his mom traveled from Israel to this area. Okay, now I'll move down to my slides. Okay, that would be a long story. So the word Islam means surrender, or related to SALAH, or shall we say peace. Okay, and that is the reason why it is called a religion of peace. Abraham, the father of all prophets, is the first Muslim according to Islam. And why is he a first Muslim? Well, from him came Ishmael. From him came Isaac. All right, so if you go back to our discussion before, the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem is very important, not just to the Muslims, not just to the Jews, but also for the Christians, because from this point, from this area came from the three religions. Now, Islam is also a code for social conduct, which is for you to behave well in accordance to what God wants. Now, some would say, sir, is God different from Allah? Allah is an Arabic word for God. So we're talking about God himself. The Quran plus the authentic statements of Muhammad, okay, as interpreted by Islamic scholars. So if in the Catholic faith we have sacred scriptures and sacred tradition, we have in Islam the Quran and Sharia, Quran and Sharia. Okay, Muhammad is the last prophet, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, now let's talk about the Quran. The Quran is Islam's holy book. It is an inspired scripture, or God's word inspired to his messenger. So the messenger, Muhammad, has been inspired by God to write this. Similarly, we see the scriptures, or the sacred scriptures, the Bible, as authored by God. So he inspired different people to write the Bible, the different books of the Bible. Now, if in the Bible we have 72 books, okay, the Quran has 114 chapters. Okay, that would amount to 200 verses, chapters. Okay, and it confirms most narratives and prophets of the Jewish and Christian faiths, such as the discussion on Mary, all right, and and Jesus was also mentioned in the Quran. So if you would note the Quran, okay, talks about different things that we can see in the Bible, in the Catholic or the Christian Bible. Why is that? It's because, again, they all came from one descendant, and that is Abraham. Okay? Now, there are 5 pillars of Islam. If we have the creed, the Muslims have this. Number 1 is the declaration of faith. Okay? That there is no deity, that there is no other God but God Himself. And Muhammad is the messenger of God. Now, why is it important that they profess this? Similar with Catholics, we profess the creed all the time. It's because we have to say what we believe in. Remember what I said before, whatever we say in the morning, okay, most likely, let's say, this is going to be a great day, okay, it will be a great day because we believe that it's going to be a great day, all right? Number 2 would be prayer. Okay, there are 5 obligatory prayers each day, hence they need to do this. Prayer is a direct link between the worshiper and God. Prayer, as we talk about in RE, is our way of communicating with God. There is no hierarchical authority or priesthood, so there is this direct communication simply with God. Number 3 is zakat. Zakat is an obligatory charitable giving. So, let's say in the Catholic Church we give some amount of money in the collection, or so we say we do some tithings. The Muslims also do some tithings, and that would mean about 2.5% of their earnings. Okay, and then we have the fasting from sunrise to sunset during the holy month of Ramadan. And lastly, a pilgrimage called Hajj. Okay, we will talk about each of these in a while. Now, to explain further, I have a video that I'd like you to watch.
Based on 5 principles known as the 5 pillars, and they are 5 obligations for Muslims to live a good and responsible life. The Quran presents them as a framework for worship and a sign of commitment to their faith. Welcome back to another episode of FE Facts. My name is Leroy Kenton, and I'm taking a look at the 5 pillars of Islam and breaking them down for you so that you can understand them a lot easier. Now, this is not an episode for those that are well versed in Islam, but rather for people that may want to learn a bit more about the faith, kind of get a better understanding, or people that are part of the religion of Islam that just may not even understand what these pillars are. Now, I got a question I want to...
Okay, I'll pause there. At least you have the information about what this is about and the one who created the video. So, let's proceed.
Details for carrying out the 5 pillars. And the first pillar is Shahada, or faith.
Okay, please remember this. Remember the 5 pillars. The 5 pillars is like the creed of the Catholics. Okay, this is what we profess. And Shahada is a way of professing the faith, professing what they believe in.
The most basic requirement of being a Muslim is to publicly state the words, "There is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger" in Arabic. And this must be said with sincerity and without any reservations. This testament is the foundation of all other beliefs and practices in Islam. To become a Muslim, a non-Muslim must repeat the Shahada 3 times in the presence of witnesses. Now, the next pillar of Islam is Salah, or prayer. Salah refers to the obligatory prayers that are done 5 times a day by Muslims. And I want to break down what those 5 prayers are. And they are Salat al-Fajr, Salat al-Zuhr, Salat al-Asr, Salat al-Maghrib, and Salat al-Isha.
As I've mentioned in class, you may mention these types of prayers in your assessment, or you may not. Okay? Now, since this is a seminar that you're going to make as your final assessment, yes, again, you may explain these 5 prayers or you may not, right? Now, the important thing is that you know the 5 pillars, that there is this required or obligatory prayer for all the Muslims. Now, this again is done 5 times a day. Okay, some people, funny how it seems that some Christians would just be remembering to pray when they are in need rather than saying thanks, or even when waking up in the morning, or when you wake up in the morning. So for us Christians, we are not obliged, but of course there is this let's say encouragement for us to talk to God as often as possible.
These prayers serve as public evidence for a believer's devotion to Islam. The prayers are usually led by someone who knows the Quran very well and is generally chosen by the congregation. But this does not mean that they need to attend a mosque to pray. Muslims can pray anywhere, and these prayers are done at dawn as well as midday, and there's one at late afternoon, one at sunset, and another at night.
Of course, as I've mentioned also in the class, when they do prayers, they should be facing the direction of Mecca. Yesterday, Katya asked, "Sir, where is Mecca?" As I have explained in class, Mecca is in Saudi Arabia, and this is the place where the Prophet Muhammad was born.
And one thing to know that these prayers contain verses from the Quran and are said in Arabic, and these prayers are to be made in the direction of Mecca, Saudi Arabia. Now, the third pillar of Islam is zakat, and that refers to charity or charitable giving. Every Muslim is obligated to pay a portion of his or her wealth for the benefit of the poor and needy. The amount is generally set to 2.5% of the value of all liquid assets and income-generating properties of an individual, and is used to feed the poor or encourage the conversion to Islam, as well as support those devoting themselves to the work of Islam and any other suitable cause. Now, if you're not Muslim, you've probably seen or heard of one of your Muslim friends fasting. Well, that is one of the pillars, and that one is called
fasting
SAWM.
with SAWM. Let's go back to the giving, right? To the charity that the Muslims do. Now, for us Catholics, for us Christians, we also give donations. We also give amount of money in the church, okay? But there is no specific requirement as to how much you should give. So you could see the similarities and differences there, right, of the things that the Catholics and the Muslims do.
Muslims are expected to fast from dawn up until sundown. They aren't to eat any food or drink or any sexual relationships with their spouse or significant other. Now, the sick, the elderly, and women who are menstruating or even pregnant and nursing are allowed to break the fast, provided that they make up an equal number of days later on in the year. Although fasting is beneficial for the health, the Quran advocates fasting as a method of self-purification and self-restraint, to seek nearness to Allah, be patient, as well as to learn hardships faced by the less fortunate.
As Catholics also do the same thing, like fasting. Do we have a period of, shall we say, Ramadan? Now, we know that there is this cycle in the liturgical calendar of the church, and specifically during the season of Lent, where we are in right now, okay, we also do our own fasting and abstinence. But you could see the difference there with the fasting and abstinence of the Catholics and the Muslims. The Catholics will be fasting on Fridays, okay, will be abstaining from eating meat. But on the other hand, for the Muslims, it's every day for the entire period of Ramadan.
And the last pillar is probably the most epic and exciting one, well, at least to me when I was learning about this. And that pillar is Hajj, or the pilgrimage. The pilgrimage to Mecca, Saudi Arabia is an obligation for those who are physically and financially able to do pilgrimage?
Yes, we also do pilgrimage. Okay, we visit places where holy people, or let's say saints, grew up in, or most specifically the Israel. We go to Israel to see where Jesus lived and basically taught the different parables and stuff, and where the different things happened in the Bible. We also do pilgrimage to Rome, to Vatican, to see the center of Catholicism, right? But in comparison with the Muslims, it is an obligation for them to travel and visit Mecca. Sir, how about those who are financially unable to do so? As mentioned in the video, yes, if you cannot, then fine. But in your lifetime, if you could save up and go to Mecca, then that would be great.
Regardless, there are over 2 million people who go to Mecca each and every single year from all around the world. The annual Hajj begins in the 12th month of the Islamic lunar calendar. Now, the rites of Hajj include going around the Kaaba 7 times and going 7 times between the hills of Safa and Marwa, as did Hagar, who had gave birth to the Prophet Abraham's son
Hajj,
Ishmael.
there was this going around this black box, as explained in the video. This is similar to what Hagar, the mom of Ishmael, remember in the story that we said, Abraham had sons, Ishmael and Isaac. Ishmael is the son of Hagar, who is actually the servant of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Now, Hagar and Ishmael were kicked out, quote unquote, from the place where Abraham and Sarah are living because of the jealousy of Sarah in the relationship of Abraham with Ishmael. So the going around is similar to what happened when Hagar and Ishmael were in the desert and they were trying to look for water. Okay, I'll pause there and we will move on to the next presentation. We will now move on to the country Saudi Arabia itself. Now, Saudi Arabia, of course, is the country where Mecca can be found rather. Now, Saudi Arabia as a country is a Muslim nation, and this is very much evident in their flag. Let's talk about their flag.
Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, a country located in the Middle East, in the Arabian Peninsula, and this is their flag, different from other countries in the region. For example, the flags of Egypt, Syria, Iraq, or Yemen are pretty similar, but this one is not. It doesn't have more colors, or stars, or even the Muslim Christian Saudi Arabia flag 2:3 proportion, and it's used by the government of Saudi Arabia since March 15, 1973. It's green with a white sword and white Arabic inscription. Speaking about the color, green represents Islam. The green color was often used in history by other states, empires, or groups in the Muslim world. The sword stands for justice, force and power, and for showing the importance of the inscription. The inscription on the flag is written in Tulit script, the Islamic declaration of faith, or the SHAHADA. And this one is about Allah and Muslim religion, saying,
so
there is no
in the
God
Saudi
but God.
Arabian flag,
Muhammad is the
it is
messenger
just
of God.
the Shahada itself, or the proclamation of their faith. Again, what does it mean? That there is no God but God Himself. In commandment number 1, you shall have no other gods but God Himself. It is quite similar, as you may say. There's this follow-up statement there. Muhammad is the messenger of God. So Muhammad is not God, rather he is just a prophet. Does that make sense? I hope so. Alright, let's proceed now to the discussion on Ramadan. And in Ramadan, this is one of the pillars of Muslim, they have to do their fasting. Okay, but what is Ramadan? So please watch this.
Every year, more than 1.5 billion Muslims all over the world fast during the month of Ramadan. It means to abstain completely from food, drink, intimate intercourse before the break of dawn till sunset. It is the most special month in a Muslim's calendar. Fasting helps Muslims draw closer to God and increases faith and righteousness. Fasting trains the person to do praiseworthy acts like charity, kindness, and forgiveness. A fasting person experiences some of the hardships of the poor and hungry. Subsequently, he would sympathize with them more. For you as a non-Muslim, it would be very kind not to show up with food, cold drinks, etc. among Muslim gatherings, especially in a work environment. And more than any other time, you should not be smoking among Muslims or elaborate on vain talk, because all Muslims consider Ramadan as a month of soul peace and spiritualities. Also, it will be very kind for you if you take into account that Muslims will not be able to join late afternoon meetings, lunch meetings, or social gatherings during daylight. Being a Muslim country means that the rush hour is the hour just before the sunset. Flights in and out of the Gulf become especially congested during the second half of Ramadan. 1 out of 2 Islamic feasts comes at the end of Ramadan. It's called Al-Fitr feast.
Right.
The greeting
So
on that day is
the
Eid Mubarak,
season
and you
of
are
Ramadan,
more
or the
than welcome to
period
join
of
the
Ramadan.
festivities.
And lastly, let's now talk about the Hajj, or the pilgrimage. How does one do it?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأذن في الناس بالحج يأتوك رجالا وعلى كل ضامر يأتين من كل فج عميق.
And proclaim to the people the Hajj. They will come to you on foot and on every lean camel. They will come from every distant pass.
A brief guide to Hajj. There are 3 types of Hajj. Hajj Tamattu, which is performing the Umrah, then the Hajj. Hajj Ifrad, which is performing Hajj only. The Hajj Qiran, performing the Umrah and Hajj together. The rituals of Hajj. Ihram, making the intention, taking a bath, applying perfume, wearing the Ihram cloth, and offer 2 rak'ahs prayers. The Talbiyah. For Hajj Tamattu, one says, Labbaik Allahumma bi Umrah. Here I am, O Allah, for Umrah. For Hajj Qiran, one says, Labbaik Allahumma bi Hajjah wa Umrah. Here I am, O Allah, for Hajj and Umrah. For Hajj Ifrad, one says, Labbaik Allahumma Hajjan. Here I am, O Allah, for Hajj. Tawaf. Upon entering the Holy Mosque, the pilgrim should make Tawaf, and then prays 2 rak'ahs. The Sa'i. In Hajj Tamattu, Sa'i must be offered for Umrah, but in Hajj, Ifrad and Qiran, Sa'i can be delayed. Then, the one performing Hajj Tamattu shaves his head or cuts the hair. By this, the Umrah is done, and thus he exits Ihram completely. On the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, the one doing Tamattu enters Ihram for Hajj, recites the Talbiyah, and says, Labbaik Allahumma Hajjan. Here I am, O Allah, for Hajj. To Mina. The pilgrim goes to Mina.
5 prayers.
And prays Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, and Fajr there. to Arafat. By sunrise of the 9th day of the Hijjah, the pilgrim moves to Arafat. Spending his time in making dhikr and dua. To Muzdalifah. When the sun sets, the pilgrim goes to Muzdalifah and stays overnight in it. Back to Mina. Before the sun rises, he goes to Mina where he stones Jamarat al-Aqaba, the sacrifice. On the 10th day of the Hijjah, the pilgrim slaughters his sacrificial animal and then shaves his head or cuts his hair. Now everything is permissible except having intercourse with one's wife. Back to Mecca. Then the pilgrim goes back to Mecca and does tawaf and sa'i for Hajj. After tawaf and sa'i, the pilgrim goes to Mina and stones the 3 jamarat during those 2 days. Then he exits Ihram completely. Farewell tawaf. Upon leaving, one should not move out of Mecca until he has performed a farewell tawaf. Visiting the Prophet's Mosque.
Alright, that's it for now. I'd like you to please go over this video again, just to ensure that you have learned everything that you need for the topic on Islam. Of course, there are other things that could still be discussed, but let us focus on the different things that they are doing as part of their belief. As we have said, our focus is on the things that one do in response to one's belief. Don't forget that the videos can be found in this YouTube channel, A Dose of Life, my version. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button. Alright, thank you.